Welcome back, friends. I did this whole video for rank 4 personas, went through editing, realized it was over half an hour long, and I respect your time too much to drop it for this many personas. And so I'm re-recording this, and I'm going to do things a little bit differently. I'm going to focus really on just the personas that I really would recommend for your stable, or the personas that I think might have some fringe use cases that are good. If I don't mention a specific persona, don't take that as their trash. That's not the point. There's going to be use cases for building things like, a certain element for a trial, or maybe you're, running a wonder DPS team and you want to try some experimentation. That's fine. I'm speaking mostly to more synergistic type personas, or again, ones that might fit specific use cases. So doesn't mean they're bad, but I do think you can rely a lot on your rank 3 and even some rank 2 personas, at least until rank 5. Because you're not going to live in the 40s for too long of a time, and it's not always worth wasting your materials for a couple little stat bonuses unless you're really pushing, for top scores in things like the guild trials or SOS. So with that said, like and subscribe would help tremendously. You guys have been growing this community, at a pace I could have never imagined. So thank you very much for that. And let's get going here. So Jatayu is the first one I would tell you about. And the reason is, first of all, they have Windbreak. And so Windbreak is going to allow you to bypass, null situations or resist situations when you're trying to use like a Fleuret team, for example. And then for their top piece up here, and thank you to whoever commented and reminded me to put this in for the next video. I'll keep on that. Increase ailment accuracy 14%. So think about your things like Windswept. And then after using a Wind skill, decrease target's defense by 16%. So you could come in here, drop a Garula, drop a Magarula, and then let Fleuret do more damage. So a good pick specifically for Fleuret. These next three, I won't go into. These are going to be if you need a specific role coverage. So, for example, this is a fire AoE, this is a nuke single target, this is a bless AoE, and then down here, same kind of thing. You got a lightning AoE and you've got a nuke AoE. If I was going nuke AoE, I would build Thoth. I actually think he's pretty decent. And right now you don't really have a nuke damage dealer until we get Queen. And so this is going to give increased critical damage and then just a good all-around AoE here. He also has a unique skill in that he has almighty damage. So if you're in a situation where you don't want to switch out your teams and you just have like that one enemy that's like apparently resistant to everything, you could do almighty damage. There you go. There's actually a fight that would play on this mechanic in the second palace, I believe it is. So a good one if you want to build a nuke unit. But otherwise, these ones over here are all going to be your DPS if you need them. Same thing with our friend downhill, Lilim. Lilim is another if you need an ice DPS. Maybe you didn't build Mont, maybe you don't want to build Mont, and you just need it for, say, a Velvet trial. This is, a decent one for this level range. Nothing particular crazy special, though. Then we have your healer over here. And so Kikuri Hime is okay. It's not like she's a bad healer, but later on I'm going to show you a healer that I personally believe is better. And so when you're in this range, don't just pick the first healer you see. You want to think about, is it AoE or single target I need? And if it's single target, in a moment here, I'm going to show you the one I like more. So it's not a bad one, it's just I think there's a better one. And so for page 1, that leaves us with a couple over here. You have a Debilitator in Kaiwan. I love his design. But unfortunately for him, I just don't think he's doing, anything special that you weren't getting out of Line Sine. However you say her name, I'll show her in a little bit. And she just does better things, like with the way that she decreases defense and how she plays on that. I just think she's the better of the two and has more use cases. So that's why I don't recommend Kaiwan. The other real recommend I do have on this page, and I used him, quite a bit on my other account, is Mithras. Mithras is interesting because he's really made to do a lot of defensive things for you. So first of all, Marakukaja. This is an increase to party's defense, so party ride defense up, so a wonderful skill there. Does have the ability to use a nuke. You're probably not really doing that with him, that's not his point. And then if you look at Sun's Protection, increase your HP by 11.6%. When using a skill on an ally, increase their defense by an additional 11.5%. And if their HP is over 50%, increase effect by 50%. So if you're, round 1 launching a Marakukuja, chances are your whole team is over 50% HP, and you're just getting a better effect from this defense. He will pair particularly well with Fox. So Fox, if you haven't seen from my other videos, he scales off of defense, not attack. And so this is a way to kind of increase his attack versus a traditional Tarakuja, you know, things like that. So good one to look out for. I will be building him. So that is our page 1 personas. Again, if I ignored attack ones, you heard me already. It's just because I think you build them if you need them for like Velvet Trials. That's usually when I build them. That brings us to page 2. So same thing here. I'm going to ignore our friend Haridi over here. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to tell you where she can be useful. If you're pulling Yui. If you pull Yui, it's the same. One of the same reasons why you want Closer with her is to apply shocked damage or shocked status to the enemy, and she increases electric damage taken by shocked foes by 9%. So she is a good one to play into the Yui Closer team specifically, or again, if you just need like an AoE lightning for a Velvet Trial or a guild boss, she could be good there. But otherwise, I wouldn't particularly use her. So the ones that we're left with, you can kind of see here, let's cover them. First of all, you're going to get Arahabaki. Yes, I think I got that. So he is a good upgrade to a Tarunda persona you may be using already. He's going to give you more stats when you level him up. Tarunda, of course, is a decrease to foes' attack, so it can be a boon to survivability if you need it. And then Dekunda, I don't know that I've ever really used this, but if you needed to remove a debuff from your allies, he does have that skill. You're probably not going to use it a lot. He also has good coverage here with the physical elements, and then the Curse Bless. Just pay attention to the weaknesses as always. And then this is kind of neat, and this is one of the reasons I like him. So you increase your defense by 21.2, and then you decrease the party's weakness damage by 18%. So usually when you're taking big damage, not always, but it has to do with that weakness damage. So your On gets hit with, say, an ice skill. You know, it's gonna knock her down. She's gonna take big damage. This will help soften that blow, as well as if you've already, you know, decreased their attack. Chances are, if you switched into this persona, it's to use this particular skill, and so can be a great defensive option for those two specific reasons. So not a bad one to have if you're in content that you really just feel like you're taking too much damage. He can help lessen that a bit for you. So he's a good one. I'll likely build him. Let's talk about Belphegor. So there's 2 personas in here that they modeled after me. I don't know if you knew this. The first one is Belphegor. Someone snapped a picture of me at 5 a.m. in the restroom, you know, on TikTok. So, you know, if you ever wonder, that's me. And so Rakunda, you guys know I love Rakunda. We were just talking about it, if I can get back into him. And so, or I wasn't talking about just now, but the Rakunda is the defense down. I love this skill. Rakunda is a great one to help amp your defense. It stacks with so many other defense down type abilities. And if you're not running Lianacide, I would tell you that this is something to look for. A persona with increased stats. You're getting Rakunda, you're getting pretty good elemental coverage up here. And, you know, if you happen to use him for his ice attack, you have a chance to inflict freeze, which decreases the attack of the opponent. The ice slackers up here, it's not, I mean, amazing, because this would rely on you yourself using the ice skills. So unless you're, you know, really trying to build an ice team where Wonder is doing the ice damage, probably not great. But if you're looking for Rakunda, this is a good one if you're not already using someone that has it, like Lianacide. Then we have what I wish was a different way to handle a specific mechanic. I wish Concentrate could be given to an ally. It's a user-only skill. So this is a amazing persona or a terrible persona, depending on how you build your Wonder. If you're building for support, this doesn't do anything for your support, because this is all impacting yourself. So after using a skill on the user being yourself, Wonder, increase attack, 40%, fantastic. You go into Concentrate, you get this 40% attack buff. If you're using him as DPS and you're launching, say, the Zionaga or Zyanga, whatever, you're doing good damage. Like, this is where you can start, you know, doing damage, or you switch into another persona that has, you know, the damage roll is actually probably more unlikely what you would do. You can do some decent damage. But if you're bringing On, or you're bringing Ryuji, or bringing Joker, or a big DPS unit, chances are you're better off buffing their damage than trying to put yourself into, you know, a Concentrate stack on Wonder. It's not bad. And if you're building a Wonder DPS that, you know, you want to amp up, this is a great unit for that. Just keep in mind, you can't give Concentrate to On or whoever. So that is a one side of the coin or the other. Now for the healer I told you about, Unicorn. Here is why I like Unicorn better than our other one. And that is for two things. One, Immaculate. So Immaculate, oops, not letting me click, hold on. So Immaculate says you're going to restore some HP and remove a random debuff, which can be helpful if you caught yourself a defense down or an attack down, whatever. And then when a debuff is removed, you also heal by an additional amount. So if you're, really playing into this and someone's debuffed, you're going to get a really decent heal. Also on Spiritual Protection, you have an increased healing. And when an ally without debuffs takes damage, increased defense by 26%. So you get a little bit of defense stacking here to help protect you, making it so that you don't need as much healing. So that's a nice little, added benefit up here. And then there is going to be a fight. I won't tell you which one. There's going to be a fight that comes up not too far in the future where a status ailment will be put on you and you have to remove it or take big damage. There's two things I'm likely to do here. Take Unicorn, and I'm going to go to Takemi's shop and see if she has any of the pills or whatever they are to cleanse, because you don't want to be caught off guard in that fight. So do it soon. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to give spoilers, but this can help with that specific fight. So when I need a single target heal type unit, or I have a special fringe case, I would prefer Unicorn over the other healer that we talked about. So that's why I like Unicorn. Hellbiker, so close to being my favorite. This is the other one they modeled after me. I ride a motorcycle, if you haven't been able to tell, from my little icon in the screen sometimes. And this was taken on a certain highway one day when I was just roaming around having fun. So that's me. You can tell because he's bald. So obviously same haircut. So Hellbiker is a decent single target fire damager. What holds him back is that this increased fire damage to burning foes is not for the party. This is for Wonder. And so I wasn't sure, so I checked around Discord, I checked on the other servers, and then I ran a test just on this client, and I couldn't see any indication or any text on the enemies that this would apply, for example, for On. If it did, oh my god, or if it does and I'm just wrong, tell me. That would be great. That would be fantastic to run on an On team. So without that, he's good for helping you throw some, burning stacks on people. But otherwise, I have someone else I would use over him. And I'll show you that in a second here when I talk about my On team. And that leaves me with what I think is the favorite, my favorite, of this group, so long as you're using Joker. Well, I guess he could work with our other curse unit. But this is the White Rider, and his effect does work for the party, which is why he's so good. So basically, you get ailment accuracy up, so like your curse can land more easily. And then when foes, or after using a skill on a foes, increases curse damage taken by 5.3 up to 4 stacks, so depending on how many curse stacks you have. So that's, 21% extra damage if you have 4 stacks. You can apply stacks with Wicked Brand, but ultimately, this is a great unit to come in with. Get some curse rolling, get Joker, or not Joker, yeah, Joker. Get Joker amped up, and then he's doing more damage. Does Joker need more damage right now? Probably not. But if you're pushing scores in the different modes, this is a good way to do it. So he, to me, is a must build if you're running Joker, and he's going to live with Joker for a while to come. So great unit. I just unlocked these all yesterday, which is why you don't see them leveled up for me. But only level the ones that you need. And so let's talk about then, I guess this is part 2 of the video, what are my teams that I'm using and what personas do I use with them now that I have, rank 4 unlocked. So I have 3 main teams. Our first one is Joker. So Joker, very simply, I'm going to be building White Rider. I am still going to be using Succubus because there just isn't another place to get Rebellion outside of Asperus. And Succubus is just really a great unit. You're able to apply Rebellion, and at this stage of the game, you can't transfer Rebellion to another unit. And let me tell you or show you what I mean by that. So if I come in here and let's just say I pick, let's say I wanted to put Rebellion on White Rider, which would be fantastic because I could just keep him as my main party. If I go to skills here, I can search for Rebellion. And so when I do this, you're going to see that it's Dakini that is the first one that I can inherit it from, and that's a rank 5. So right now, I have to pick a unit that has Rebellion, which is why I've advocated Succubus so much. And so I'm still going to have her to beef up, my crit, so that Joker or whoever I'm using crits harder. The other one for this specific team, and you're going to see a theme here, is Leonicide. So she does a couple things. So first of all, when attacking a foe with decreased defense with the skill, bonus side damage of 38%. So basically you get a little bit of extra chip damage. Psychokinetic Disruption gives you decreased defense. Racunda gives you defense decrease, and they stack. So she is a great one to help debuff the enemy while you're buffing your units and then doing more and more damage. So my Joker team is her, Succubus, and White Rider, or will be once I finish building them. You can see I already leveled them. And then for my second team, I'm using On I'm about to build her units for. And so for On, this is the fire unit that I use. And for the other two slots, it's the same, Lianicide and Succubus, but it's a rank 3. Let's find her, it's right here. Lamia. This is why I like Lamia better than Hellbiker. It's because of this up here. So increase ailment accuracy 15% or 35% for burning. Don't care about that so much. But when a foe is burning, increase party's attack 10%. You're just giving yourself a flat 10% attack boost. I think that's wonderful. So, you know, you've got your key team, you got cattle. If you don't have key, you always have cattle. And they're going to help put burning on as well as on. And so when you do that, you're just getting more attack if she's, you know, your lead persona. So a better one for fire, I think, than the others. And then we'll see, you know, when rank 5 comes out, of course, we'll talk about those. But for now, I would prefer to use her over the other ones for the attack boost. And that leaves my final team, which I told you guys I was going to have some fun. It's Ryuji, and I'm having a blast playing him. I'm so glad I put him into my new Game Plus mode. So for him, again, Lianicide is going to be in there. Pretty much all my teams have her. And then Jiko Kuten is my other one. So if I look at his skills, the big thing for him is A, Matarakuja, so I can give party attack. Now, Tarakuja is obviously better as a single target, but this synergizes with his skill up here. So increase defense 15, whatever, that's for Wonder. After using a skill on an ally, so Matarakuja, increase main target's attack by 13%. Perfect. When target's HP is less than 60%, what are we trying to do with Ryuji? Keep his health low. Increase effect 30%. This is just another let me buff your attack on Ryuji. And when you get Ryuji in a good rotation and you've got Leo's buffs going off, you've debuffed the enemy, you've buffed up Ryuji, and he hits that crit, oh man, you hit one of those massive crits, you're going to smile ear to ear. I was doing it on stream the other day. And so this is a great one to pair with him, and one I will be, you know, obviously taking with him. And so I'm going to start like getting people into their, you know, their second ranks, their overclocks, whatever, and really strengthening my teams right now as I'm waiting for the next content cycle. But yeah, and then for his third slot, since I don't need Succubus for crit, because if you're using, you know, Ryuji the right way, you've got skill 3 on rotation always, and he's always critting with it. For that one, that's where I might take like a unicorn. And that is strictly because there are times where something happens and I don't have a healer because I don't run a healer with Ryuji. And I just need to bring him back up just to be safe. And so having that as a clutch is not terrible. So that's typically like my Ryuji team. If I don't think it's that dangerous, then I'll look for somebody else that might help stack more debuffs on the enemy. You know, maybe somebody that can decrease, you know, attack with, say, freeze just to help, you know, take down less damage. Something like that. But a Jikoku in Lianicide Unicorn is not a bad team for a Ryuji. The other teams, I mean, you can look at all the other units, but I would say the wind one I spoke about earlier would be decent for Fleuret. I don't put a lot of stock into ice teams just yet because I tend to go with the Fox build later. But I mean, if you're building Mont, it's the same kind of game. You want to buff crit, you want to buff, you know, your ability to do damage, extra attack, and then you want to decrease the defense on the enemy. So nothing too fancy. You can reuse a lot of the same ones that we've been talking about. And the other thing to keep in mind is if you need to sub in a defensive unit every once in a while, don't feel bad about swapping out one of your slots for something, you know, like this, where you can maybe take on a harder boss because you're helping decrease their attack and increase your ability to survive. So that's it. That's my persona recommendations and my teams if you're curious as to what they are. And look, if you've gotten any value out of this video, I would love a like and a sub. Like I said, the community's been growing and it's been fantastic. You guys have been bringing me so much joy as an older YouTuber here. It's been a blast doing this with you. And until our next video or our next stream, please take care of yourselves.